All right, and we are freaking live. Hey guys, welcome to the Superherocuts podcast, where we talk all things Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. It's your boys TV Hayes, joined by the usual Comic Cuts. Jerry, how are you, man? How you feeling?
Bro, I am so glad to be back. I've had a long 2 weeks. For all of you that like our show, it's my fault that we missed last week. So you could blame that on me. But we are back. We are here. We are ready to roast the Snyder Twitterati. A bunch of grown babies, and
We've been at war, man. You and I have been at war these past couple months, man.
It's crazy because you could tell them, I didn't really like Man of Steel, and they will come at you as if you just said, like, your mama, it's crazy.
Bro, I got called an incel today.
Bro, some kid said to me, he was like, you fucking idiot. And I was just like, bro, his picture is Dark Side. So I was like, relax, Dark Side.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the dude I was arguing with, his profile pic was Ben Affleck. I'm like, dude, be a man. Show your face, bro.
Like, for all of you who have a profile picture of a fictional character and you're like completely anonymous, just know you look like a 7-year-old trick-or-treating in a Spider-Man costume. Okay?
Yeah, show your face, man. Show your face. All right. Now, let's get to this. Obviously, Superman. Let's talk about the Superman, man. So, Superman Legacy is no longer Superman Legacy. It is called just Superman. And with that announcement, James Gunn unveiled to us a new Superman logo. And the logo looks dope. I'm probably going to show it on the screen. But, Comic Cuts, how do you feel about the name change and the new logo?
I like the name change. I think that this movie has had so much hype and buzz around it so far. And I always thought that Legacy, was a big indicator that this movie is going to honor, the long and historic heritage of Superman's character and be faithful to the comics. And because this movie has had so much hype and buzz, I feel like it being titled Superman Legacy for a short period of time served that purpose. Like, I think most people are on board with a Superman movie that honors Superman's long historic heritage. And I think, why not just call a Superman movie Superman? It's funny, and not to get too much into the Snyder thing, but there was a Snyderhead who basically said, oh, I know why James Gunn changed Superman Legacy to Superman, because if he just calls it Superman, he could claim credit for all of the Superman hashtags. So I wrote to him, so James Gunn is cheating because he called a Superman movie Superman.
Yeah, man, I don't know. People be tripping. But yeah. I agree, bro. I think that the name change is cool. I honestly don't care about the name change. It would have been cool either way. But I do want to talk about the logo, man. That logo is freaking fire, my brother.
Yeah.
I love every single bit of the logo. I mean, so can you talk about the whole Kingdom Come
sure.
For fans that don't know about that?
Kingdom Come, first of all, if you are one of those people who kind of reads comics or thinks about reading comics and you don't know where to start, I don't want to say Kingdom Come is necessarily the greatest starting point, but the flip side is it's only 4 issues. I think they're a bit longer than a regular issue, but they're not that long. You could read Kingdom Come in an afternoon. But what's really cool is, Superman, and I haven't read it in a while, but I'm pretty sure Batman and them, they've retired, and there's a dystopian future, and people have different outlook on superheroes, and Superman kind of comes back into the fold and rounds up the the rest of the Justice League, and it's a different time. It's done by Alex Ross, the whole thing, not just the covers. So the artwork is beautiful. For those of you who don't know, Alex Ross is one of the most iconic, comic artists.
Probably the most at this point.
Yeah, and the thing that's so unique about his art is that it's all painted. So
it's the most realistic art you'll see.
Yeah, it looks very different than your typical, sketch cartoons. Whenever there's an Alex Ross art, it never disappoints. And what's also interesting with his DC stuff is he takes a very retro style on the costumes. They're like further back than retro. They're really vintage, but they're really cool. Anyway, what was cool about the Kingdom Come Superman logo is when it came out, it was like new and fresh. And I think that, obviously Kingdom Come is not a new comic. So now looking back, the logo still has that new and fresh vibe. But for fans like us, it also has that old school touch. So I think that's what, it's kind of what I like to call modern vintage. It's what's considered vintage in the now, and it's really cool. And I think that with the Superman logo, what's difficult is, other than the Superman Legacy logo, all of them pretty much have, unless you go like OG, the very first Superman comics, most of them have that same S. Whether it's the Snyder S or the Richard Donner S or the Action Comics, they are ultimately the same S with the same, blocked tips, where the Superman Legacy logo, I mean, it almost kind of looks like a lightning bolt. It is really cool. It also looks like a banner across a shield. And I think that, I hope that James Gunn makes more of these artistic decisions. Like, I would love. Now I'm really excited when I think, what's he going to do with the Batman logo? What's he going to do with the Green Lantern logo? I don't think that we're just going to get these typical logos. I think James Gunn is like a really cool and edgy style, and I think we're going to see that play out. I think the Superman logo is awesome, and it's also a great indicator of what else is to come, because we have a lot more heroes coming, and this is just the first of many logos.
Yep, it also copies the same design as my Adventures with Superman animated show, which I really liked. Really good show. Did you finish that yet?
I actually haven't watched it yet. I gotta watch it.
You should, bro. It's fire. It's you will love it. It's really fire. But so it's exciting that we got a new animated Superman, and then we're getting like a new live action, kind of emulating the same logo. So yeah, man, super awesome. Can't wait. All right, let's get to the Kang recast. So let's talk about this. So, there has been more movement, and obviously they aren't fully abandoning the Kang story. They are abandoning some elements of the Kang story, but Kang is still going to play a really big part in the next two Avengers films. And the guy that's been talked about the most is Coleman Domingo. And it is kind of looking, more and more, at least from a lot of trusted sources like Daniel RPK, My Time to Shine Hello, a lot of those people in the circles that, Comic Cuts and I, run in. A lot of them are saying that, it's looking like Coleman's going to be that guy. How do you feel about Coleman taking that Kang role?
At this point, I'm just happy someone's taking the Kang role. I don't know Coleman Domingo so well, so I'm going to have to check out his stuff. But I'm just happy someone is taking the Kang role. But I still feel like it is going to be very much scaled back. And it's a bummer, and I blame Jonathan Majors because, there's a lot of talk about, looking back now, it's easier to see how detrimental this superhero fatigue talk has been, because there is not superhero fatigue. There's a reason that James Gunn drops a Superman logo and it's top trending on X, formerly known as Twitter, for like 24 hours and up. People went nuts over the Deadpool trailer. There's not superhero fatigue. Obviously, you couldn't have this much hype if there was superhero fatigue. But there is an issue with quality. And I think that because there has been poor performance amongst both Marvel and DC, I think that there has been a lot of, taking of inventory and reassessing. And it seems like two things are going on at Marvel with Kang. It seems like, number one, they probably are blaming some of the problems on Kang, the character. And aside from blaming some of their failures on Kang, I think they're seeing that it might be easier to just go with Doom and scale back on Kang. And I think that is the predominant reason that this is happening, because I don't think that Kevin Feige believes that Kang is a bad character and, couldn't work for the MCU. And it's like, people on the outside looking in will say there's superhero fatigue. There will be fans with half a brain that say there's superhero fatigue. I mean, listen, we have a lot of fans that will tell you Zack Snyder is comic accurate, so we have no shortage of stupidity in the fandom. Listen, Coleman Domingo, people say he's a great actor.
He's been nominated a lot this season too. He's been in a lot of nominations, and he's been on panels with really respectable actors.
Okay,
he's really been. He's he did a panel. It was like him, Downey, Austin Butler, and like a bunch of other respected guys. And I always take a look at who actors be around, because that will show you kind of like the quality of actor.
You know what they should have done? They should have just called Denzel and asked him, "What's your price?" and made it happen. Could you imagine if they didn't tell us who Kang was and they teased it, and you went to see the next Marvel movie and Denzel popped out as Kang?
Dude, that would be one of the greatest. That might be the greatest casting for a villain of all time.
That would go so hard.
Yeah. That'll be a hell of a comeback, huh?
Yeah.
Yo, do you know who else? Yeah. Somebody like him, or like a freaking Brad Pitt. Someone out that no one would see coming. Like someone like this crazy, yeah. But
Brad Pitt actually might be able to be a good Kang. I feel like Brad Pitt would pull it off.
He would kill it. Even a Leo. I think any of those big actors could pull off somebody like Kang. But
Leo, actually, you could make Leo really look like Nathaniel Richards.
Agreed.
For those of you that don't know, that's Kang's actual name.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But I do agree. I do think that scaling back Kang is the best option, because I think the reason why they went in on Kang so much was because Jonathan Majors was doing it. And you and I have said before, Jonathan Majors is cut from that cloth to be like, he was on the road to being literally one of the greatest actors of our generation, Yeah. And so I understand why they went all in with him. They took a risk and they failed. Okay, cool. Now, you bring in Coleman to and I think Coleman will play a good Kang. I've seen some stuff that he was in.
I think that whether it's right or wrong is not what I'm talking about, but I do think that down the line there are going to be movies that cast Jonathan Majors, and they're not going to be like,
of course, he's a great actor,
A-list studios, but listen, there are people who believe that Amber Heard is innocent, and Amber Heard is probably going to be in movies too. So there's no shortage of movies that would love to get someone who's talented like Jonathan Majors for the budget, and they don't really care if he's
Bro,
here
he could
now.
literally
So
go to BET and just run it up. Literally. I mean,
yeah,
like, so
yeah.
he could
And
literally,
listen,
he's gonna make his
and
money.
we're talking about an industry that knew what Harvey Weinstein was doing and kept that under wraps for a long time. So
Yep.
again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying these are people who go on the red carpet and act like they're, moral and virtuous, and behind the scenes they're the exact opposite. So
Yeah.
you know,
So yeah, back to the Coleman thing. I think that casting Doom and having Kang, I think that's a good tandem. I do still believe that Doom casting needs to be powerful. I really, if Cavill's really the guy, man, go for it. Go for it. If you can't get Adam Driver, if you cannot get Killian, go for Henry. I think Henry would be a perfect addition, having Kang and having Kang and Doom going at it. Now, I do want to talk about the whole superhero fatigue thing, because you were right. Superhero fatigue is not the problem. The problem is that we were just putting out bad films, and 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 because we were putting out bad films, fans were not very interested in the content that was going on. And most of it was because it seemed like they were trying to build this Young Avengers, which a lot of people weren't really fond of, and just a bunch of other things. The Disney Plus shows weren't interesting enough, and so all of that kind of coincided to this superhero fatigue. But the reality is, if we go to Amazon, if we look at the Boys, if we look at Invincible, those shows are doing some of the greatest ratings of all time. So the issue was never fatigue; it was quality of projects. And I literally just read I read about 5 reviews about the part 2 of Invincible, and people are literally saying this is the greatest animated season of all time.
wow.
So and like that's very high. That's a very crazy thing to say. So if people are saying that about a superhero universe, the issue is not the amount of content, So
Right.
and that's kind of where I'll leave that, because so many people, and like even with the success of Dune 2, people are saying things like, yeah, like this is what superhero movies will never be. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Like,
People, first of all,
if we go to the prime of superhero films, that's a whole different story. If we talk about Winter Soldier, if we're ever talking about Civil War, those are cinematic pieces, bro.
The
Infinity
Dark
War,
Knight,
come on. The Dark Knight, come on. Those are cinematic pieces.
the
The
Batman,
come on, man.
And listen, I think that we're going to see certain projects like that from the new DCU. I also want to point out that there are a lot of people that like to criticize superhero movies who don't watch superhero movies. And I'm not saying my dad is like that, but like I have made my dad sit down with me and watch Iron Man and watch Captain America, and I tried to get him into the MCU, and he enjoyed both of those movies. He's like, these are great. And then he's like, yeah, I don't really like superhero movies. He like forgets. And I think that there are a lot of people that are like that, but also do, on top of that, criticize the superhero movies, but don't really, give it a chance. And I think Dune is one of those movies that is going to be a trendsetter. You're going to see that movie inspire things in a number of directions within the cinema landscape. But Dune, like, it might not be a superhero movie, but it is for the same culture of the superhero movies. Like, that is a sci-fi movie to geek out on, and it's the way Star Wars fits into this fandom is the way Dune fits into this fandom. And by the way, Star Wars, you now have competition, and you better get your act together, because what Denis Villeneuve is doing with Dune is incredible. And, Timothée Chalamet, he put on a show. Like,
He
I
became
thought
an
he was
A-lister after this.
Yeah, I thought he was an industry plant. I really did. And I thought he did well in Dune, but like Dune 2, he was incredible.
He's the
And
future. He's the future, bro.
yeah, yeah. And let's just say Ray does you can't even talk about Ray and Paul Atreides in the same sentence. They are incomparable as characters. And a lot of people are saying like Dune is the new Star Wars. And I really think it is. What I loved about Dune, like as much as like I have this child side to me and I love comics and superhero movies and video games and all that. Outside of all that, I'm very passionate about business, global business, politics, stories of religion, which that's really more Stevie's thing. But regardless, Dune encompasses all of that. It's like a perfect storm of what all of the themes of the real world. So anyone who pays attention to real things that go on in the real world could appreciate this movie. And I think because of that, it has a way of transcending anything that superhero movies could ever be. And, Star Wars was like that for a really long time. And until they just butchered it and like stuck Palpatine in the end because they had no idea what they were doing. So you better get your act together.
So Dune, the only reason why Dune can't be the next Star Wars is because the ending is so bad.
Well, that's the other thing. Like a lot of people are saying that they're not following the books exactly. And Denis has even said he's not sure exactly what he's going to do for the third one. So
no. Well, I'm not talking about the third one because the third one is going to be based off of Dune Messiah, which is like the best Dune book out of all of them. But I'm just saying, like after the fact, when he has his kids and all that, the story just gets bad. So, and like, and then there's like a 3,000 year reign where I guess you could do a bunch of content during that 3,000 year reign of Leto the second. But I mean, I don't think they will ever be what Prime Star Wars was, to be honest.
I think
that's a reach.
Maybe not Prime Star Wars, but what Star Wars is
Dune
now.
2, but Dune 2 is like that is their Empire Strike Back.
Dune 2 is better than any Star Wars movie since Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. All right, I'm cool with that. Ooh, almost got a heart attack. All right, you're good.
Yeah, and listen, I think it's going to be loosely adapted. Like, I hate the Kang Dynasty. I hate that comic book with a passion. And the reason I hate it is because it should have been really good. Like, the structure of the story was awesome. The concept was awesome. Basically, Kang Dynasty comes to Earth, and he basically gives the entire planet an ultimatum. And he's like, and I'm going to take over the planet. And I forget the rest of it, but it was really cool. And it started off really strong. And, of course, it went to shit really quickly because – and you know what? I am going to mention his name and throw shade on him because he's a clown on Twitter. Kurt Busiek is the worst comic book writer ever. And if that story was written by a better writer, it would have been a classic. But I didn't think that Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty wasn't going to be good because I didn't enjoy the comic book. You get what I'm saying? And listen, I think Dune is going to be good. I think they are probably going to try to fledge it out into a universe. And I also think once they do that, I think Denis Villeneuve is going to sign off. I think he's going to sign off after the third one. And I don't think they're going to be able to offer him enough money to stay on because he is one of those directors that just has such a, powerful name at this point. Like you said, he's like up there with Christopher Nolan now. And, Warner Brothers, they could offer him, however much money. He'll be like, someone else will offer me that too.
Don't be shocked if he's the president of Lucasfilm. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if they do what James Gunn and Peter Safran. I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Listen,
don't be
that would
shocked.
be insane. Like I
I
would be all
wouldn't.
for it.
I wouldn't be shocked at this point, bro. That he's he's that guy. He is that guy.
Yeah.
The dialogue of Paul Atreides is literally I can't even explain. Like it's this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. Like this is top 3 movies that I've seen of all time. Like I'm talking, and I'm not talking about that I've seen like past. I mean like in real time. This is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. And the only other movie I feel this way about is Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. Where when I watched it, I was like, "Yo, this is like the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life."
Yeah.
And like I don't know. I've seen it 3 times already. And I'm just like, every time it gets better, bro. Like Timothée Chalamet is literally one of the greatest actors on the planet. And this man was acting as Willy Wonka as like a funny character, making candy,
But
and now you're this freaking.
I think that doing Wonka was a smart move for him because that's one of those movies that it's always going to be iconic to play Willy Wonka, and his name attached to that helps his notoriety.
Yeah. And now if they do Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, bro, you know how big that would be? Plus the Dune
I'll
franchise.
never watch it because it's a musical.
Well, the act, plus the Dune franchise that he's doing. I mean, and then if DC gets him in, or Star Wars or whoever.
And by the way, this kid was dating Kylie Jenner before Dune came out. So
I think he still is, right? Yeah, he still is. Yeah.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying. Imagine him getting out.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, he's him, man. He's him. All right, let's go to the next topic before we end up talking about Dune all night. Yeah. All right, yeah, because I can go on Dune all night, but I won't. Maybe in the end we'll have some Dune talk. All right, now let's talk about Mr. Chris Evans. So. Over the weekend, and Dead and Nerds talked about this. Well, he was at some convention, and he was basically being asked about Captain America. One of the comments that he made is that if comic book movies were so easy, there would be more good ones. Because a lot of people trash comic book movies, saying that they're like easy to make. So Chris Evans obviously took a stand for comic book films, and then they did ask him about returning as Captain America, and Steve Rogers, and I'm just summing up what he said. Steve Rogers, what he said was that there are more Steve Rogers stories to be told, but he said that he doesn't want to ruin the ending of, like, he doesn't want to ruin what happened, and so obviously all of us believe that he's obviously coming back for Secret Wars, but there is this common theme with him and Downey that it seems like they're like, I had the perfect ending, and I think that because of the state that the MCU is in, they don't want to come back. I think that if the MCU was thriving like it was before, and there wasn't as much drama centered around it, I think they will come back with open arms. But it seems like they don't want to ruin the legacy of their character. And basically, and then Chris Evans said some other stuff of like, that saying, just saying that the Captain America role is very dear to his heart. Also said that the Winter Soldier was his most favorite project that he's ever been on with Marvel as well. So, shout out to, I just don't want to say, because, Downey has been kind of trashing, and we all know Downey is a troll. He's obviously trolling, but shout out to Chris Evans for like taking a stand for comic book films, because a lot of actors have been like, and a lot of actors and directors trashed him, and like the fact that Infinity War and like Endgame didn't get nominated for any real awards is literally insanity.
Yeah, listen, I have never thought the award shows were real, because they haven't, and I've been a hip hop fan for as long as I can remember, and I always remembered how Jay-Z and Kanye always spoke about award shows. And, that's a whole other topic. But, first of all, I don't think Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. should come back into Secret Wars. Like, I think that the MCU, if the MCU can't have one phase without them, we're in trouble. Fans got to get used to the MCU without them. Otherwise, you can't just call them back in right away. And Like, it was, bro, the last Avengers movie was when they died. You can't just have one Avengers movie without them and then bring them in the next one. That's crazy. And listen, I love Iron Man and Captain America as much as everyone, but the MCU needs to learn how to walk on their own. And, there are also like a lot of really cool stories that if they wait would make sense to bring them back in. And I just don't see I don't think that the stories that the only story that they could use and make sense with them now is the Avenger story leading into Secret Wars. And they're already not going to be in that story. So to bring them in Secret Wars, it just seems like, I don't know. I think it would be a really bad call.
I personally do not agree, obviously.
I think though,
yeah,
no offense, I think you're biased, and I think that I don't think, and it's not just you, but I think everyone who thinks it's a good idea to bring Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans back, I think it's an emotional decision, and I think it's because everyone wants them back, so they want to think it's a good idea. And I understand that.
That's what Star Wars did, and no one's complaining.
But
they brought back Hayden.
They
brought back Hayden, but they brought back Hayden and Ewan, bro, and Luke Skywalker. No one cares. Everyone's happy.
But they also did a full trilogy without them.
Luke Skywalker was in it. They ruined him, but he was in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Luke came back. I mean, I think that there's a place for that happening, and with the fact that Secret Wars being pushed back probably 5 to 6 more years because they're slowing down projects. I think it's the perfect time. It's all about how they build it up. I think that if they build it up correctly, they will come back. But there's no way that Hugh Jackman comes back and Downey and them don't. That's just impossible. And I do think that they're going to be variants of their own characters and stuff like that, but I do think that there's a place, and you and I have talked about this before. I thought it was stupid to take them out of the fold from the beginning, because in my opinion, Natasha died. Because Natasha died, you could have just left it there. I mean, that death was hard enough. I'm not gonna lie, but
I don't know if the hype at the time would have been the same for Endgame had they not had that, because when people left the movie theater after the I Am Iron Man and Iron Man dies, like, whether they told their friends that was what happened or not, that kind of conviction of how epic and impactful that movie was came through. And I think that scene was a big part of that. And I think what I'm saying is I don't think that movie would have performed in the box office as well as it did. I don't think it would be revered as much as it is. I think that if they kept Iron Man and Captain America alive, like, that is just such a big change from where we are now that when you think about the butterfly effect, that's like an eagle effect.
Yeah, I think that, but I would have been fine if Steve died or if Steve stepped off. Like, if Steve got his fate regardless, I'm fine with that. In my personal opinion, I wanted Downey to, like, if Downey was permanently like injured and turned into like a mini Nick Fury or something like that, where, like, he's kind of like, and like, I wanted them both to be alive and just in the background, if that makes sense, because I always felt like we were going to run into this problem where we need these characters. And so that's kind of how, like, I've always felt, man. It just feels weird that they're not here.
Yeah, but they have other characters, and they need to lean on them more. They need to bring, like, Daredevil and Punisher, Spider-Man, T'Challa. That's a big one, by the way.
And look, and you're right, bro. I mean, we do have a Reed now, which is and as much as people don't like Pedro is going to hold it down because he's that guy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Reed, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Punisher, Sam Wilson, Captain America, like,
Hawkeye. You're right.
that's a solid roster, and they could thrive on that roster. And I don't know. I just think that they need to learn how to walk on their own to justify killing them off in Endgame to begin with. And there's a new comic series that's like ongoing right now, and it is so good. It is. I think it's going to go down as one of the best comics of all time. It's called Avengers Twilight, and basically Captain America is in his like really old age, and he's not an Avenger anymore. The Avengers are like a thing of the past, and Tony Stark's son is like a rich, evil genius, and he's like doing some really malevolent shit. And Captain America links up with Luke Cage and tries to put the band back together and like tries to fight the government. And the government's like a fascist government. Tony Stark's son is working with them, and the government has convinced the people that the Avengers weren't heroes and they were bad people. And like Captain America is fighting against all three. He's fighting against the government, he's fighting against Tony Stark's son, and not like physically fighting, but he's fighting against the nature of the citizens like being against the Avengers. Yeah, it's really cool. And Chip Zdarsky's writing it, and he is going to go down as one of the greatest comic writers of all time. But it's really, really, really cool. And I think like down the line, a movie like that would go hard. And I think that it's a little riskier for them to make that a movie because you're talking about older Avengers, and if you did that, how do you ever bring them back? But I think that these are the risks that they need to start taking, because what's going to happen is James Gunn is going to take risks eventually with the DCU. I think he's going to play things a little safe in the beginning, but like I always say, James Gunn's an innovator, and he is going to take what the MCU did, and he's going to take it from the 80-yard line to the end zone and back again, And I just think that the MCU should, like, Kevin Feige has to understand that he is going to be playing this game against a real competitor, and he never really had that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. This is going to be exciting. So we got a comment. Let's see.
Hungry Almighty, what's good?
What's up, my there we go. What's up, Hungry Almighty? We missed you, bro. If the MCU soft reboot as Secret Wars, which I did definitely see, do you think Chris Evans and RDJ are staying post Secret Wars as the main Iron Man and Cap, or are they just going to be new actors? So that was a rumor that they were going to stay. Most likely no. We are doing good, bro. We are doing good, man. We're just happy to be back on air, man. It's definitely been a minute, so we're happy to be back. So there's a rumor that they were going to come back, but from a practical standpoint, probably not. Just because of the fact that these guys want to do other projects and stuff like that. So most likely no. But I do think they're going to come back though for the Secret Wars and stuff like that. So I do think they're going to end up having to recast. They got picked the right actors to do so. So all right, let's get to the next thing. Mutants will be coming to the MCU next year, and this is a theory. Okay, so I really wanted to talk about this. I had another topic here that I thought I saved. All right, we'll talk about it next.
Yeah.
I really wanted to talk about this, bro, because of because if you look right, if the MCU is in this position, Bob Iger said that he's focusing on characters that matter. Do you expect the mutants to be in the MCU earlier than you expected? Like, do you expect Deadpool to have implications where mutants will be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Because I do.
I always thought that the mutants were going to come after Secret Wars. However, recently I've kind of changed on that because I can't imagine them bring Hugh Jackman back and make this Deadpool and Wolverine the only MCU movie releasing this year, and to not bring it would just be ridiculous to have this movie and then be like, okay, forget about mutants for a couple years. And why would they be doing X-Men 97 around the same time? And what else is interesting is yesterday Marvel dropped the first Ultimate X-Men comic within the new Ultimate Universe. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that they did that this week and they're doing X-Men 97 next week.
So I also want to talk about another thing because this made the connection for me is that remember I told you how Captain America was abandoning that plot of going to Tima Island and with the adamantium and all that?
Yeah.
The reshoots brought that plot back. That's a rumor. The rumor is that they're going back to dealing with the adamantium and Tima Island, which made me think that first off, I think that Genosha is going to be Tima Island. I am kind of thinking that because it just kind of makes sense. Like Genosha is building on the grounds of a dead celestial. I just think that's very mutant-y to me. But also, doesn't that make you think that some mutants are going to be involved in Captain America Brave New World? Because, bro, I keep thinking of this title, Brave New World. Obviously, a part of that new world is going to be Thunderbolt Ross and them cracking down on heroes. But what if the real reason of why they said Brave New World, bro, is because of the fact that mutants are going to be now introduced into the MCU and that they're going to be super active? Not to mention at the end of Miss Marvel, we even got an inkling that she's a part of the mutant, or like they told her that she has the mutant gene as well.
Well, so let me make sure I got you correctly. You're saying that they're going to introduce more mutants than Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine. And then those mutants are going to be like part of the plot in the Brave New World. And that's why they call it Brave New World.
That's my theory.
So I want to believe that the mutants will be in Brave New World. However, and maybe this plays into your theory even more, I don't know, but it was originally called New World Order. Now, New World Order, I think they changed the name because it's a very politically charged name. There is, New World Order is a globalist term. There is a political movement against the globalization, New World Order, whereas all the governments collaborating together for all of us to have the same rules, laws, economy, and it's their way, the highway. There's one political aisle of the country that seems to like that. There's another aisle that seems to hate that. I don't really want to get into the politics of it. If you think I'm wrong, great. I'm not trying. If that offended someone, so be it.
If you want to debate, DM him. If you want to debate, DM him.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We really try hard not to ruffle anyone's political feathers here. So if you're one of the few that it did, I don't know what to tell you. But so maybe because the mutants are around, that is why they want the New World Order, because they're so terrified that they're like, well, we need more control. So it could play into your theory a little more. It's crazy though, because we really don't know anything about Brave New World. We know nothing about it. The plot.
Because, bro, I'm really thinking about it, right? Think about this. Because the order, as it seems, is, Deadpool, Brave New World, and then Thunderbolt is filming as we speak. So what if Deadpool gets the mutants in there, some of them, and maybe it's just, the multiverse. It's not even like MCU bred mutants, right? But let's just say, right, the mutants get to the MCU after Deadpool 3. Then we get Brave New World where it introduces more. And what if the mission of the Thunderbolts is to oppose the mutants? It's just to me, it's just starting to low-key make sense in my head. And
So
I've just been questioning a lot because if they say that they're going to prioritize movies, there has to be some common theme that's kind of going along. And like maybe the Fantastic Four coming to the MCU halts that or stops that. I'm not sure,
the
but
part
like there's something going on it's something going on there.
two things. Number one, the Fantastic Four movies takes place in the 60s, so it doesn't necessarily have to interfere with anything.
But they're going to have to end up in the MCU though after. They're going to have to.
Right. But I don't think that's going to be most of the plot. Regardless, I think most of the plot they're going to be in the 60s.
Yeah, for sure.
For that movie. Number two, the one thing I think working against your theory is that we know that they're putting out 2 Avengers movies. We know the first one was Kang Dynasty, and they are calling an audible. And on the second one, it's Secret Wars. So I just don't know how the mutants are going to play into that. And I don't know if they do at all. And if they don't, that kind of dampens your theory.
What if Wolverine is in Brave New World? That would be nuts. Anyways, so sorry, time for that day.
Yeah.
But
if it is, I hope it is. I hope it's like a new Wolverine because, like, I just want to know who's going to play Wolverine.
Yeah, I've just really been questioning it because, like, if we're going to team up Island with the main team, there's going to have to be some link to it, you know. So, like, yeah. I've kind of been spitballing that idea. Let's see what Hunger Mind says. If I'm being honest, what I think Marvel will do with mutants is this: just like Fantastic Four, they will make an X movie that takes place in an alternate universe. That in Secret Wars, the universes will merge. That's how they get in. I get that, but like they're doing that with Deadpool as well. You know, like, are you really going to copy the same thing? You know, like that's a lack of creativity to me. I wouldn't really be. I mean, I would obviously accept it, but like, come on, it's gotta be a little more. They gotta be a little more creative. Hopefully, let's read this. Similar to No Way Home with a Venom and Secret Wars, there will be 2 X-Men teams: the new X-Men and the Fox X-Men. The Fox X-Men will team up with the Avengers, but the new X-Men are somewhere in Battle World. I kind of like that. Not gonna lie, that sounds kind of fire. We'll see. But yeah, man, possibilities. Okay, now let's go to here. Okay, Thunderbolts started filming. Okay, I'll be honest. A part of me wants the Thunderbolts to get canceled because the rumors that I've heard is that they kind of fallen away from the whole entire plot that they were going to do. So I'm a little freaked out about that. But how do you feel about this Thunderbolts movie being made, bro?
Oh, I love it. Listen, I love the Thunderbolts. I think that they are such a cool group and so underutilized in Marvel as a whole. I mean, they kind of had like their heyday in the 2000s, but I think they're really cool, and I think that fans are going to really like them because people loved Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad. You know, and I think that this is like kind of fits that trend just because they are an unknown group to a lot of people, and they're not like really heroes either. So they're kind of more like the Suicide Squad than Guardians of the Galaxy, but they're unknown. So I think that if done well, like this should be an absolute banger because I think people are going to be very pleasantly surprised by how much they like the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I will agree. I mean, as I said, I'm scared about the plot because I went in too many rumors, so I'm a little shook. But I hope that it all works out, man. You guys know I love Yelena. I love the Thunderbolts. I hope it works out, but I am fearful of that plot. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Now,
also, I wonder if Deadpool will be on the Thunderbolts because in some of them he is.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about this. I really want to talk about this, okay? Because you said you disagree with me, but I think if I explain it, you'll understand what I'm saying. So I wanted to talk about this topic of what will make the DCU successful in the future, because I do believe that the DCU is on the same track that the MCU was in their prime. You know, they are utilizing their prime characters. You know, we're getting a Superman Legacy movie. We're getting a Batman Brave and the Bold. Wonder Woman and Aquaman are coming and all of that stuff. But I do not think that the success of these films will determine the longevity of the DCU. I think these movies play a really big role in for the first 10 years, but I want to talk about what I think. I want to talk about what I think will make the DCU surpass Marvel Studios, because Marvel Studios invested so much into their main guys that when they got to after Tony and Steve and the whole gang left, they were failing, And I do believe that the DCU will prevail because they have stronger sidekicks than Marvel. And I really do believe that characters like Robin, the multiple versions of Robin, characters like Nightwing, characters like Superboy, characters like Supergirl, characters like Aqualad, um, Speedy. I think that all of these characters are going to be the reason why I think the DCU will have a 20-year reign. And look, James Gunn does have to sell these characters to the fans. But I do think that, pairing Supergirl early in Superman and us already getting a casting and, Damian Wayne being involved in Batman Brave and the Bold, James Gunn is setting up these things. But I also think that what this is going to do, having all of these sidekicks are going to bring out different sides in the live action heroes that we've never seen before, because, look, we've gotten Henry Cavill Superman, alone thousands of times, but having Superman Legacy with his cousin, other than the CW Superman, we have never seen that side of, a Superman live action movie. So I really think that the fact that James Gunn is involving a lot of sidekicks is going to ensure the long term, but it is also going to get fans sold on the short term of these characters.
So, first of all, when you told me this theory, I didn't realize you meant like the far future. I thought you just meant what's going to make the DCU successful. I think that number one, I think you got me thinking. I think what's going to set the DCU apart from the MCU right away is the secret identities, because that's really not a thing in Marvel. Number one. Number two, I do agree to an extent that the sidekicks are going to be a driving factor in the DCU's success, especially in the future. Especially like, dude, once they do a Titans movie, people are going to go crazy for the Titans as individuals. And I'm sure I'm wondering if they're going to do a Nightwing solo movie at some point, because DC has made it pretty clear that they want Nightwing to be a bigger character. And I think this is the perfect time to make that happen.
100%, bro. 100%. And I just think that let's read Hunger Almighty said. DC has always had better side characters. Barry is the main Flash for the first 5 years, and the actor don't want to play no more. No problem. We have Wally, Hal, and Jordan. Actors go, no problem. Let's do Kyle. Exactly, bro. There's so many backup characters for DC that,
But Kyle doesn't. That's the other thing about the sidekicks, though, that you have working against them. Most of them just don't hold a candle to who they are the sidekick of. And that's why Nightwing has never really become so big in his own right, is because at the end of the day, people are always going to like Batman more than Nightwing. And, people are, especially when you're talking about Kyle Rayner, Hal and John, people love, but people don't really care for Kyle Rayner or Guy Gardner, and the Robins are a little different because, they're the sidekicks to Batman, and people naturally like Batman the most, myself included. I think everyone has their favorite Robin. I say it all the time. Mine's Damian Wayne. I think Stevie's was Dick Grayson for a while until he started reading comics with Damian Wayne, and now he's kind of.
It depends on the day.
Okay.
When I'm toxic, I want like today I'm Damian because I'm toxic. Yeah. Tomorrow, Christian Stevie might just wake up. Pastor Stevie's here. I might just go with Dick. It just depends on the day.
Yeah. I guess I'm always toxic, 24/7.
Yeah. On Sundays, the Lord's Day, I'm 100% Dick Grayson, bro.
Now that
Monday, I might be dating.
Yeah.
I'm playing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, the other thing that's interesting about the side characters, it's like Marvel has struggled trying to make the side characters the main characters, and they have laundered all these characters that nobody gives about, and it just hasn't worked for them. Like, who I'm going to bring up. Who am I going to bring up?
America Chavez?
Yep, America Chavez. Like, she shouldn't even be in the MCU. She should not be in the MCU. And, like, they ruined Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of the Madness, to give her a spotlight.
Dude, even if she asked to come on our show, I would just say no.
By the way, you know what's crazy? Some people think Kang the Conqueror is the problem and not characters like America Chavez. Okay?
Agree. Oh, Hungry and Mighty has a rebuttal to your statement. He said, but the thing with Nightwing and Kyle Rayner, it all depends on how you market. Imagine a Nightwing trailer with amazing blue cinematography, or imagine Kyle becoming a White Lantern or something.
I just don't think their personalities, like
Nightwing will sell.
Nightwing's never going to sell like Batman will. Kyle Rayner's never going to sell like Hal or John.
A Nightwing 6-episode series would do numbers.
It would, but do you think a Nightwing movie would ever compete with the Batman or the Dark Knight?
No, bro. Number one, James Gunn would never do a Nightwing movie. Number two, number two, bro. And look, I might be glazing. Please let me know if I am. I don't think
you're gonna have to fill me in on these new words.
Right.
What does glazing mean?
Glazing means like I'm like boosting them up too much, think entirely of them. Basically, but DC is the better culture in the area of recast, because there's been so many recasts in DC that when Cornsway gets old enough, I think you're going to be able to swap out, and fans might be a little hesitant, but it's going to be fine. So
there's going to be a long time before they need to swap.
Oh yeah,
he's got at least 20 years.
Oh yeah,
because he looks young, he's in shape, he's going to stay looking youthful.
But I think that James Gunn is going to set it up to where there's no way they're going to be benching, for a long time. So but I do think that there's going to be a era in the DCU where the sidekicks get their time, and I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
That would be cool.
All right. This was kind of a question that I had for you, because you and I are both Eternals fans. Should the Eternals be a part of the mutants coming into the MCU?
No, because let the mutants shine on their own. I think that would just be doing too much. And I think that number one, I don't think a lot of fans are sold on the Eternals, sadly enough. Number two, I think because they're not, I think fans would be frustrated that you were putting Eternals with the mutants, similar to how I'm frustrated with America Chavez being in places she doesn't belong, because I don't like America Chavez. And I think Eternals will be. I think the fans will come around on Eternals again if they give them a good sequel, which I think they should. And then the thing about the mutants is once they come, they are going to take over. There's so many of them. They're so interesting. Their relationships and beefs within each other, they're going to thrive. And there's not, if you put the Eternals with the mutants, that would remind me of where Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 went wrong. Too much going on, and it just overcomplicated, and it didn't land. But there is a comic book that's called Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, and it's called Acts, and it's supposed to be really cool. I haven't read it, but regardless, I think that X-Men should get their own day and saga, and I think they will. And I think what's going to happen is the X-Men are going to come around, and I don't think that the big movies are going to be Avengers movies for a while. I think they're going to be X-Men movies.
To be honest,
then after that, then you could bring back Iron Man and Captain
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, I do think that the next, as you said, the next reign is going to be Fantastic Four and X-Men, which I think is going to be a breath of fresh air for fans.
Yeah.
But I do think, because obviously in the comics, the Celestials technically mess with the human gene, which created mutants. So they are technically like half Celestial, technically. That's why they're mutants. And like, I think there's a place where you can go that deep. I think if you go, but the only way
Eventually, but not
that's
in
what I'm
the
saying.
beginning.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I should put more context to these questions because when I say coming into the MCU, it doesn't have to be right off the bat, but I would love to see something to where like Professor X is really trying to like uncover the origin of mutants, and we freaking see like Icarus and them like crafting the genes. Like that would be insanity, you know?
Yeah, that would be.
No, and even the Eternals versus mutants, like I'll be on board for that too.
That
I
would
just
be crazy.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of dope stories that sorry dude, this dog is like he's looking at my legs. But yeah, but he's a cutie, man. He's a cutie. He's a Yorkie. His name is Rico.
Nice. Rico's
But anyways, yeah, a little savage, man, a little savage boy. But yeah, bro, there's a lot of good stories that you can do. So all right, our last topic to close out the night, man. We're gonna talk about some X-Men 97 releasing next week. We want to guys let you know our content schedule with that. So we are going to be doing a episode by episode review every single week, just like we've done Loki, just like we've done every other show. Okay, every week we are going to be talking about the episode, what we liked, what we didn't like, and getting deep into it. So, are you excited for next week, brother?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm so pumped. I am so pumped.
Yeah, bro. I am equally excited, man. I can't wait for X-Men 97. And as I said, man, this is going to be a legendary time for us to be alive. And Invincible comes out as well. So I'll be on the Fantasy channel doing that as well. But there's a lot of freaking shows coming out. And The Boys is coming out in June with House of the Dragon at the same time. So, yeah. Just know Comic Cuts will most likely be covering The Boys because he's into that heavy. I know you saw Gen V, right?
Yeah,
to Gen
fire,
V too, right?
Fire.
Yeah, and I apologize, guys, for not covering Gen V, but we will be on the ball with the other shows as well. So
for sure.
All right, we're going to end it here tonight. We will be back on Tuesday, back to our regular program. But yeah, man, we have some guests lined up. I really want Rome to come on for X-Men 97. So
that would be dope. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I've been talking to him. And I also want to get the Why So City's podcast on as well. They're one of our fellow friends on TikTok. They're awesome. So guys, we love you. We hope you have a great week.